Hello guys, good evening to all. Myself Shubham. So today we are going to start the session for .NET Framework. So in the previous video we talked about the different types of programming languages in the technical environment. So today we are going to start the session for the introduction and architect of .NET Framework. So question arises before starting that question arises, what do you mean by framework? So framework is defined as a set of rules and the basic architect that gives the shape and the strength. Or in other words, we can say that the framework is the package which defines the language, tools, and library. So in the .NET framework, we can say that languages like C Sharp, F Sharp, Visual Basic, Java, Python, and many more. So let's talk about the tools. The tools available in .NET framework are Visual Studio, Visual Studio Editor, Visual Studio for Mac, OmniSharp, and many more. So as we know the library that is FCL framework class library, that you can say that library is a set of rules, functions and methods that define entire code. So here the question arises before we start the coding session or something like that in .NET framework and architect of .NET framework, the question arises, what is the .NET framework used for? So .NET framework is used to create and run software applications. Another point is .NET applications can run on many operating systems using different implementations of code. In other Another point arises that .NET framework is used for running .NET apps on a Windows. So another question arises, who uses .NET framework? The software developers and the users of their applications both use .NET framework. Another question arises, there are bunch of questions that are available that why do I need .NET framework? So as we need .NET framework installed to run the application on Windows, but we can create IoT tools, web applications, and many more such things that are advanced in the environment. So we will start with the Visual Studio in the upcoming session. So question arises, what is Visual Studio? So Visual Studio is a fully featured integrated development environment on Windows for building every type of .NET application. So by using the .NET applications in the Visual Studio, we can also run the entire code and build the entire code with C Sharp, F Sharp, Python, Java, and many more languages. So Visual Studio, as we told earlier, so question arises, what is the architect of .NET framework? So there are bunch of, you can say that in every year the .NET architect is changing and changing. So you can see that in 2005 there was a WinForm CSP.NET and Radio.NET can be built on the .NET framework with the FCL, that is a framework class library, and CLR, that is common language runtime. Then in version 3.0 you can say that in 2006 there was the changes like WPF, WCF, WF, and start space. So if you see that in 2012 the version was 4.5. In version 4.5 there was a .NET API for store UWAP apps, task based include asynchronous model. So in today era you can say that there is a use of version 4.8.1. So in the simple language we can say that the architect of .NET is a language FCL and CLR. As we talked earlier, what is the language? Languages like C Sharp, F Sharp, Visual Basic, Java, and Python, many more. So we talked with the framework class library, that is FCL. So FCL is a set of rules, methods that defined in the entire code. So what is the common language runtime? So as we know that, what is CLR? Okay. So can be defined as So what is a CLR? So we can see that CLR is a common language runtime, the virtual machine component of Microsoft .NET framework that manages and executes the .NET program. So we can also say that CLR provides additional services including memory management, exception handling, garbage collection, security and thread management, and many more. So here question arises, how does the .NET framework work? So we can see that .NET framework, okay, written in a C sharp. Okay, .NET framework applications are written in a C sharp or in Visual Basic, and their compilers like C sharp compiler, Visual Basic compiler, any other language compiler compile the code and parse the code into a CIL. So CIL is a common intermediate language, while the language has been intermediated and passed to the CLR. As previously explained that what is the function of CLR, while the CLR parses the code into the machine code. That is, we can say that machine code is a binary bit code. Okay. So another question arises, what is the difference between .NET and .NET framework? So as we discussed earlier, what is a .NET framework? So .NET is a cross-platform and runs on Linux, macOS, and Windows. Another point we can say that .NET framework runs only on Windows. So .NET is open source and accepts contribution from the community, and the .NET framework source code is available but doesn't take direct contribution. So last question arises. I think so. All of the question arises that how does the cost? What is the cost of .NET framework? So .NET framework is a free like the rest of .NET platforms. We can develop our websites, but we can't take to the free course into the business. For the commercial use, it has to be paid. I can in the description I can post the link so we can download the .NET Visual Studio. Okay, if you like the topic, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.